Now, launching his latest policy brief on tourism, Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, pointed out that the industry employs 1 in every 10 people on Earth and provides livelihoods to hundreds of millions more. Strong data from the UN World Tourism Organization shows that 100 to 120 million direct tourism jobs are at risk, and the UN Conference on Trade and Development forecasts a loss of 1.5 to 2.8% of global GDP, describing tourism as an opportunity to experience the world's cultural and natural riches, bringing people closer to each other. We talked to a tourism consultant on what some might say is itself one of the wonders of the world. Mr. Lucky George, thank you for joining us. He joins us here in Lagos.
Thank you for having me.
Paint a picture as to how bad the tourism industry has been affected by COVID-19.
The travel and tourism industry is the worst hit. And let me just give you the scope of the travel and tourism industry. When we refer to the travel and tourism industry, we are talking of the airlines, the transport sectors, the hospitalities, the memorabilia industries, and of course, other related industries. So you can see the scope of the industry, and of course you can see how it has affected international airlines, local airlines, the hospitality industry, which is made up of the hotels and of course the restaurants and related establishments. Then we talked about the travel agents, the tour operators, and of course the other chains that has to do with the transportation, the land transportation, and of course the water transportation. So it's extensive and it's massive.
Now, the UN chief also talked about secondary impacts, such as the increase in poaching as people search for other sources of income during that period. Do you still see a future for the industry?
Oh, certainly, but I've done extensive study as far as the angle from which the international organizations always look at issues when it concerns Africa. You know, in a period like this that we're having a pandemic, they are talking of poaching. And here in Africa, we are talking of survival. So to us, who do we preserve the animals for where people are meant to eat and survive? I think what is mostly affecting us in Africa here is the issue of the secondary industry. The secondary industry in this regards has to do with the farmers, the agricultural sector that nobody is talking about. I was part of a team that put together a document for the Federation of the Tourism Association of Nigeria, which is umbrella body for all the industries in Nigeria. And one of the things we noticed was that about 34% of agricultural produce ends up in the hotel environment in Nigeria. So these are businesses that have been cut off completely. So this sector of our economy is almost grounded. Now the farmers are not selling because the hotels are shut down. You know, so to us, yeah, the concerns of the international organization sometimes might not be what actually affects us. And I've done a lot of research on this and a lot of writing on this, and I've looked at it that, yes, they have the right to look at that from their own angle, what concerns them, and based on who authored those documents. But for us in Africa here, it's extremely very important for us that we survive first. Just last 2 weeks, I had the chief executive of Zimbabwe Tourism Authority on one of my Zoom conferences, and I had people from Gambia and Ghana as well. And these are the things we talked about. So when they are looking at what we suffer, in terms of COVID, it's not the same thing that they suffer in the Western world. So for the UNWTO chief executive to talk about the issue of poaching and not really looking at what we are suffering here and how we have to survive, it's mind-boggling sometimes.
All right, we'd like to thank you so much. So I guess, you know, it's a lot more efforts, and perhaps, you know, Nigeria looking inwards and expanding its tourism potentials as well. We'd like to thank you, tourism consultant, Mr. Lucky George. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Now, from France, Italy and Spain to Switzerland and Croatia.